Yalla, infidels, you better go hard. No matter how hard, you can't stop us now because we're back to light the fuse and watch the whole shit go blow. It's Hacker Hamin, it's MSG, it's the Chris Silvio team roadcaster is in the house, infidels, here at hackerhamin.podbean.com. Yalla. Yeah, man, I'm under the gun. I'm trying to get it out here, but I put it over as the quick shout out. Boom, it's still right here. 2 brand new Roadcaster Pros, Silvio, for Producer of the Year. MSG and the original OG. Big Ray, man. Big Ray Hernandez.
Oh.
Dude, you're talking about $1,200 in gear. You want the best in podcasting? You want the best. Look at this. This is where if I was to press this button right here, whoop, it's like going. It's all like that, brother. So great things coming to our top guys here, man. Not that everybody's not a top guy, but they more than earned it in the last couple of years here at HMG. And I can't wait to see what incredible content they make with these great pieces of equipment from Rode. I want to thank Jason from Roadcaster again for hooking us up. So incredible, dude. I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm pumped. I'm excited. For all the haters or the doubters over the last couple of years who are like, "Are you putting in all that work?" Yeah, well, that's why, because you reap the benefits and the rewards when you put the work in, ladies.
That's right, man. It takes a while, but we're turning corners here. We're turning corners, dude, and there's the proof. There's the proof right there. It's not just a pat on the back, you know what I mean? And hooked up Stevie, hooked myself up, and also Billy Ray Valentine's got one. Russo uses one. You know, it's the piece of equipment for Hamin Media Group and Russo brand. Really, for the price, it's unbelievable. I mean, still, you're a musician, a tech guy, a gear guy. This is easily, if this was 10 years ago, this would be a $5,000 piece of equipment. The price has dropped to $600. You could put another zero on the end of it, and if you're a true artist, you're going to get your money back out of it, dude.
Oh yeah. For sure.
I mean, what I really think what's cool about it is the mobility of it. You can take it anywhere and do a podcast professionally, no matter what, which is going to be awesome because I'm going to take it over to my buddy Joe's house with the green screen set up, and we double camera when we're doing our podcasting and all that. So it's going to be really cool. I'm excited.
You can record the hard drive right in it as well. So even if you don't even have a setup and you're really remote, like
right,
like seriously out there in the wilderness, maybe doing.
Wait, you're saying that if I actually went to a wrestling convention, I could actually interview wrestlers on professional mic equipment, not just stand there with my hand holding up my iPhone? Crazy.
You could. So you guys, if you're in this game and you want to step it up, the Roadcaster Pro is, I mean, you can take calls on it, Bluetooth, whole 9, patch everything right into it. It's unbelievable. So thanks again, Jason.
Man, I need myself one of those. I'm about ready to head off out of state on a weekend mountain retreat, Hamin style. I'm going to be isolated. That Roadcaster would be perfect to bring on a trip like that. Yep. And here we got Maddie, the office guy, and Hamin, and I'm still just one of the boys, getting ready to talk some wrestling, do a little coaching night, and then I'm getting the fuck out of town.
Nice.
So let's light it up, boys. Let's light the fuse. Let's talk the news. Maddie, what's popping?
Well, let's do it. Before we get there, I just want to put over our sponsors really quick. Don't forget to check out Russo Bros Coffee. Go to thebrosters.com. Use the code 5LB. Pick up yourself a bag of Russo Bro coffee, the finest coffee that people are out in the fields of Colombia. They're like out there getting the beans, and then they ship it to Ben's house. Not Ben's house, but he lives right there.
Compound, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Lives right there. And then Ben sends me and Bello out and a bunch of other people sometimes, like extra hands. We pick the beans out and then we give it back to the other guy, and he does all the business side. So go to thebrosters.com, get yourself a bag of Russo Bro coffee, ZordosOliveOil.com, pick up the finest Greek artisan olive oil. And of course, check out my sponsor, theBakeBoysClub.com, and get yourself some weed apparel if you're interested. BakeBoysClub.com. Use the code SuckMyBallsPod and you'll get 15% off. Okay, so the first story you wanted to talk about here, which way do you want to go? Do you want to go Teddy Hart or Sammy G?
We got to start with Teddy Hart anytime he's in the news. Do you have the article there with the official charges?
I
I
do
read
not have.
earlier today. It was endangerment of the equivalent of a child, elderly, or disabled person. The highest level of controlled substance as well, and DUI, I believe, as well. And
There was an evading the police.
evading the police via car. So he's probably because he's effed up or he's got gimmicks, so he doesn't want to get popped for a DUI. So to do the field sobriety, and then it goes from bad to worse as he's trying to do whatever, and the charges go up. So they probably would drop the DUI because if they can get that to stick, but really, if they got him on controlled substance, meth, heroin, or cocaine, which is what they were charging him with, that's the level where it's at.
There you go.
Those will hit. I was going to say those will hear this, of course, on the Friday Locker Room because Ben does read the copy there as well. But he's currently being held at the Tarrant County Correction Center in Fort Worth, Texas, on charges of evading arrest while with a vehicle, injuring a child, elderly, disabled, and possession of a controlled substance. However, he was specifically charged with possession of penalty group 1 controlled substance. And in that county, those are drugs that include cocaine, heroin, and meth. So that's what he's that's what he's officially being charged and held on is hard drugs, which probably led to all of the shenanigans that happened throughout the evening. Probably got really fucking doped up and then went for a joyride or something. I don't know.
Yeah, sounds about right. And that's what we were speculating with that Maria Manic incident several months ago. And Ace Montana had shot that video of Teddy looking odder than normal. Meth sounds like the likely culprit there, but that's Ted's third arrest, I think, in the span of a year. So the saga keeps getting deeper and deeper. They still have not found the missing woman. What I want to know is he was in jail in Richmond last I heard, in the Richmond area, and had to remain in Virginia for a prolonged period of time. So I don't know if he was even allowed to be in Texas, if he traveled out of state illegally or what the deal was. So more interesting news to come from that, I'm sure.
Yeah, the way it unfolds on the charges in my head, I don't know about who or what he knows in Texas. I've never been there. But to me, it sounds like him going to buy some meth from somebody. They either were watching him, what have you, went to take down the car. He knew he was fucked, and then drives erratically or instead of or could be get tuned up and go on a joyride. But to me, the way it sounds like it's unfolding, he walked into a stupid situation, or any detective who wants to make his name, who knows he's in town, goes, all I got to do is follow Teddy Hart around for 16 hours and I'm going to be able to catch him doing something.
Shit, he could probably
so
grab
sad.
Teddy on a RICO offense by now, man. Jesus.
Probably.
I know he used to live in Texas, so that could have something to do with things.
Okay.
Oh, my exes live in Texas. All right. So, yes, that was a Teddy Hart. So, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but when this whole thing ends, in 15, 20 years, this is going to be a great book or a great movie, like a great TV series on Netflix.
It's going to be Dark Side of the Ring. It's going to end badly. There is no retribution or comeback for him in wrestling.
Oh, I'm not saying there's a retribution. I'm saying as far as if someone wants to make a Netflix Making a Murder document-style series, it's going to be good as far as ratings is what I'm saying. It's sad to say that, unfortunately.
No, it could be a Tiger King level event.
But with all this stuff he's got going on.
Still have a redemption story in life as far as wrestling. I don't see much of a path to redemption. If he were to do something drastic like rehab and legit change himself in his life.
I covered this, bro. He would. I mean, I'm not trying to bag Mark Merrow here, but he's doing that bit now. I know Sean does the born again Christian thing, and that's all a big crock of shit too. I said this on the Friday Locker Room. This is the guy who would go out, play all that up, talk to a whole elementary school, and then as soon as he's off stage, he's asking the janitor where he can score some smack, bro. So that's a bunch of bullshit. He's a bunch of bullshit. He's not going to make it in wrestling, and that's the reality of the crash down. Sure. He's probably got massive bipolar, manic issues, and this is what the future is. And he went down this road, and even if he stops it, it'll still be the same carny scumbag underneath it all, bro. You're on mute, brother.
This is a great comment here. This is a great comment here, and it's a good segue to what you were talking about today on the Friday Locker Room. Disco Swayze said he talked to somebody close with Brett. When he showed up at AEW, Brett told him to fuck off. So Silvio, this morning on the Friday Locker Room, Strangler Steve suggested that Bret Hart needs to contact Teddy Hart and tell him to stop using my fucking name. I mean, what do you think? Is it damaging the Hart name legacy by him being attached to it?
Yes and no. I mean, Teddy's been fucking up since 2006, and Bret Hart's still a legend. The Natty still works on top, kind of, for WWE, so it's not hurting it too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair point.
I think I think this is just going to end with a wrestling with tragedy level event.
All right, well, let's move on to the next topic here. We have about Sammy Guevara. So apparently Sammy Guevara, this is the story. Again, this could all be a work, but the story is that Sammy Guevara is in trouble with AEW management once again. I don't know if you want to call it once again. The other thing wasn't really his fault. It was something that happened 4 years ago when he was an immature kid.
It was totally his fault. It was just a dumb decision he made years ago.
Yeah, I'm just saying, when you're stupid and you're a kid, anyway. As first reported by Bob Kapoor of Slam Wrestling, Guevara voiced complaints regarding a planned storyline set to occur at Impact Wrestling. The Spanish God was set to appear in Impact Wrestling following his storyline departure from AEW's Inner Circle, an idea concocted by Jericho that was believed. Now, Jericho pitched the idea, contacted Impact to write him into their plans at the last minute. However, after some back and forth, Impact's plans were reportedly rejected. Khan would approve the second idea. Plans were made to shoot the angle this past week, but Guevara reportedly directly contacted Impact complaining about the creative direction. And then Impact then informed Khan and Jericho about the issues, which led to Jericho personally contacting Don Callis about, quote, banning Guevara from Impact premises. After arriving in Nashville for the tapings, Guevara was then told to go home. He received a message from Jericho advising him not to head to Impact's shooting location. Bob Kapoor, the man who made the report, is a senior journalist with Slam Wrestling. That's who is a Canadian wrestling outlet. So he's the one who wrote all that for you. So Guevara apparently not showing up to work or not happy with the angle that's going on. Silvio, what do you think about that?
From what I heard, he had agreed to do whatever it was. And from what I heard, it was Jericho had a large part in planning whatever this angle was supposed to be. And then after the agreement was made, he voiced to Impact that he had creative issues with it or was questioning things. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. I could see, guys doing that. They get a little name recognition. They get a little bit to them and try to call their own shots. If they're smart, and Jericho is, this is just, he made Jericho look bad with Impact. He quit the Inner Circle. So I'm hoping that's what it is. Unless it was a money issue, they were trying not to pay him enough, and Sammy said, "No, I want what I'm worth." But I'm gonna say and hope it's an angle.
Yeah, I think it's a well played work, Sil. I think they're crossing the. I can't see this kid. Well, you make a great point. Guys can be in the bubble and their head gets blown up, but I don't see this kid being at that level yet to be in like. I believe that he would want to check on his creative. I'd hope he would, like any wrestler would. But I don't see him throwing a stink of I'm not doing that after he leaves the Inner Circle and walks out. This with Jericho having to do the texting is blurring the lines of reality, and I love it if it's a work, because we even have to argue the point and not the storyline. So when he shows up and does a run-in and beats the fuck out of somebody, we go, oh, it was a work, but that was good. They had me for a minute, We don't get that much anymore. Dude, him and TJP is the money. How are you not going to do that? Of course he's going to want to do that. And even if it's him versus Josh Alexander, he's got to put Josh Alexander over. He's a worker, bro. He's been on TV. He don't give a fuck. He'll lay down for whoever. That's why I think this is a work. And if it is, good job. If it isn't, weird. Like, if it isn't, it's time to quit the biz for all of us. We're done here. So I think it's just a well done work, bro.
The timing is very coincidental.
Yeah. You don't have a guy with heat who you're going to write off TV, have him quit the gimmick and give him the walkout to then do that, to further it. In wrestling, you just shut the fuck up, because the more you talk about them, the more spotlight you're putting on them. And that I'm not going to give them no shine. If they got heat with them, this wouldn't be coming out like that. And it's coming through Slam Wrestling in Canada.
Yeah.
You think that's not the more work in the sheets?
No, what I was going to say is, though, to counter argue that, though, sir, his mention was that the Sammy Guevara called to Impact after he had already been written off the AEW angle. So that would mitigate your point there about them writing him off in a fashion, because it sounds like he would have already complained in the middle of the process itself, like if they had already started it.
Yeah, but it's all part of a greater thing to make it look like a reality, in my opinion.
No, I'm just saying.
And it's done well. I see what you're saying too in the timeline, but that's coming from a wrestling reporter who can easily get worked by somebody telling them what happened in the timeline as opposed to. Okay.
So I just thought it was nice not to have to quote any other regular dirt sheet writer and go to a Canadian guy who probably just loves wrestling and doesn't have any issues with the world.
And he was also
that young, being that much of a, I've never heard about him being hard to work with or being a douchebag to pull a card like that. So to me, that's like, okay, good.
Yeah. And he was heavily mentioned in last night's Dynamite, the Inner Circle promo. They said the name Sammy repeatedly. Jericho delivered his lines with the little piss and venom. So clearly they're still, if Sammy was in that much trouble, they wouldn't be making an angle around him on national TV.
Right. Or there's more politicking has been, like, say, behind the scenes that we don't know about. And, you know, maybe he complained to Jericho and that's how he got out of it. So maybe he doesn't have heat on the AEW side. You know, it's all speculation. We don't know. Well, I don't have my roadcaster yet. Sorry. Let's go to some AEW numbers here. By the way, Canada Spaceman in the chat room, Ben doesn't like what Sting does in the ring. You're accurate, but it's not fair to say that Ben doesn't like Sting because he's a vocal Christian.
I never even think about Sting as like an outspoken Christian either. So now I didn't like what he was doing before. Now I really don't. That wasn't the basis beforehand. No, I mean, do whatever.
Listen to the Horsemen. Just watch we talked about it last night. I mean, even Stevie and Papa Don talked about how, you know, they are into Jesus. You're not, but everyone can still have conversations and blah, 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 blah. So if that was the case, Ben would be shutting everybody out. He'd be the extremist of the atheists, where he'd be like, fuck the Christian people. They don't know what they're talking about.
I still abide by most Christian morality because it's not Christian morality. It's just what's inside you and the right thing to do. So I don't need to put a label on it as some other shit. It's just me, and I know the right thing to do, and I'm a man, and I'm going to do it. It's not because I go and eat some crackers and grape juice. I don't need to do that shit. I just know what to do.
Well, let's talk about AEW a little bit more here now. Talk about their numbers before we get into the breakdown of the show here. So from last week here, they had 741,000 viewers, and that was compared to NXT's 588,000. Now, I don't know if it's even fair if I should even be comparing NXT anymore every week. Not that I'm saying they're not putting out a good product, but clearly the audience, I think, has kind of made their decision there in regards to what they're going to watch. You know, AEW is going to get that 800,000, 700,000 to 900,000 average. Something big happens. It pushes them over the top a little bit at times. And then it seems to kind of pull from that NXT audience. So I kind of feel like this is our audience. This is where we're at. This is the 1.3, 1.4 million people right now that are watching on Wednesday night. But that being said, when we get into the competition tonight, it was just, you know, if you want to consider it, NXT, I guess, was the only real competition. They had some, you know, other things around the television tube, mainstream media, if you will, but not much in comparison to sports wise. YouTube viewers last week were up a little bit, about 100,000, as they had 2,543,000 compared to the 202,419,000. The most viewed video from this last week was the False Count Anywhere match last week that happened between Archer, I think, and Kingston. That was no DQ match. I'm sorry, Mox. The least viewed Kenny Omega golfing segment, that only got 35,000 views, and the average views for all their videos was 135,000. So it started off with a tag team match tonight. We have Money Matt, Hangman Page, taking on TH2. Those just joining AEW reviews and you're unsure why Matt is partnered up with Hangman, because he's been interested in signing him. And I got to give Chris Silvio his props, because last week he did call this. But at the conclusion of the match, we do see Matt Hardy and Hangman pick up the victory, and it's revealed that Hangman, he scooped Matt Hardy. He's given the old switcheroo with the contract. Silvio did predict that it would be working for him, but, you know, close enough. It's a match, it said. Instead, Hangman did the old switcheroo with the contract, and Matt Hardy will take on Hangman Page at Revolution. As far as the match is concerned, Silvio, any highlights, any points in the match that you really liked?
Yeah, my predictions on that were that he got Matt without his knowledge to sign that he would give Hangman a percentage of Matt Hardy's earnings, which they did, but they explained it in kind of a weird fashion, talking about first quarter earnings, and then he said, "Well, put your first quarter earnings." Just a weird thing, as opposed to like a round number, like $100,000 or whatever. But the match
that's a good call out. Not to interrupt you, but the verbiage that is a little weird. Like you're talking to wrestling fans, and I'm not saying the generation of wrestling fans aren't smart or anything. That's very high level verbiage, business like talk to say that. That's interesting. Yeah, you pointed that out.
Yeah, play to the height of your intelligence.
There you go. The match was fine, but poor Jack Evans, man, he was jumping up the top for what looked like a Rana while Angelico was laying down, and Hangman caught him and powerbombed him. It looked like they were going to do the old spot where you powerbomb, onto your own partner, like in the chest abdomen area where they can kind of catch you. But for whatever reason, Jack Evans went down and like the back of his head and neck like snapped off the mat and off of Brother's ribs. It looked fucking deadly. And then Evans looked like he was a step off after that. Like a couple of his he did a 450 where like he connected with just his hand. Did you guys see that? That was brutal.
Yep. And then even the finish, even though it was the cell, that's Spike pile driver or Spike DDT thing was like when he's doing the scorpion upside down. I was like, wow, dude, just all of them were taking crazy shit out of the gate. But it was this a little too waka waka with the old switcheroo. I like that they put the Brody line in there. Always have an extra set of papers in your Anya and stuff like that. That was funny enough for me. But I don't know. Not that this is a serious angle, but is this the best use of Hangman Page?
Short answer, no. And there was a lot going on with this segment. Like they had after the match, they do the promo where Hardy's like, "So you're my boy now, you're under contract." And they do the big reveal that Matt actually signed to Hangman. And they have the mascot of the Jacksonville Jaguars come out carrying like balloons and a paper.
That's what I'm saying.
Then he reveals himself to be Isaiah Cassidy, and him and Matt jump Hangman. Then Matt says, "I'll give you $3,700, Jack Evans and Angelico, to come in and beat him up." So now all four of them are wailing on Hangman. The entire Dark Order, led by -1 without a shirt, waving them in from the entrance ramp, come in, make the big save. Then they're kind of in the ring with Hangman. Hangman does like a cutesy, good boy smile, throws his symbol in the air, and then they switch segments.
I just think, I think there's a long way to go with him, and he's kind of out of the picture for whatever reason. He's doing all this stuff, and I'm sure he's having fun doing it. But I see a lot more. To me, you got these guys that are opportunity to be homegrown. Sammy Guevara and Hangman are probably the two top homegrown talents that they could really say are AEW. Scorpio Sky's another one. Maybe a little ROH in there too, obviously, but like to really give them the shine, and we're not doing it. Sean Spears could have been another one, but they're just not doing it. I don't know why.
Do you guys think that, I know that I'm just picking out a weird thing to talk about here. The mascot that, what's his name, was in, what is it, from the Private Party guy, Quinn. Yeah. Do you think that they should have used like their own property there, like Bernard the Bear? I don't know. William Alicia brought that up in the chat. Like he's like, that was a missed opportunity to use their own bear instead of using the Jacksonville Jaguar.
That could have been some dumb thing they put together that afternoon because somebody saw the fucking thing sitting over there in the corner, the mascot outfit. So
here's one thing I want to mention before we get too in depth in the show. Everybody, I'm sure, is aware of the storms, the winter storms. You're probably affected by it. The power outages in Texas. I know the Texas airports are closed. I have some students working in Nashville this weekend, and those airports were closed. I don't know if they still are. So if you notice, like a lot of these matchups I saw today, I was like, it seems like a very odd matchup.
Yeah. Taz put it over of the weather and stuff too. Like so that they definitely might have been affected and had to do, change at the last minute. I saw Ryan Nemeth in the crowd a fair amount too. So surprised they didn't bring him back out there, even though he did get yoked and choked last week. It might not be the best thing to march him right back out there either.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. As I mean, not to deviate, patreon.com/StevieRayTV sign up. Stevie Ray hasn't been able to record live all week because of the Texas power outages. So, but I definitely want to catch up on his content. Great interviews. Shane Taylor interview drops this Friday. So check that out. Support Stevie Ray TV because he's here to support you guys 4 nights a week, generally speaking. Free content on Twitch.
He'll have an awesome view of this, though, when it gets back up and running, because a lot of people are ringing that conspiracy bell on this stuff too. So I'm anxious to hear his opinions.
Agreed.
I mean, without you going down the rabbit hole, could you give me like a 30-second clip of
sure.
This
you know the Green Deal that they want to push, AOC, and so you're talking $300 trillion, $300 trillion, an exorbitant, insane amount. So they wanted to bag on wind powered and what they want it to be for lithium ion and a couple other things like that. They see it's not tested. It's not tested. Meanwhile, if you go up here where I am on Hoth, where I ski, is 70, 80 mile an hour winds with all snow and ice, 200 inches of snow and ice, and those big bastards spin just fine. So it's just about having the right equipment, and everyone saw those wind turbines. They're being defrosted. That's a picture from like 2014 early on. So it doesn't even depict of how things really are. But for the 85%, they want to write it off that quickly. So then they can sign whatever they want through. That's going to give them a backdoor deal to become billionaires, into their own right.
Okay. Yeah.
Also,
I've heard about
Also, to jump in on that, I've heard that it's also the extreme push to get people in Texas to put them in a compromising situation to where they then have to rely on the government, and then the government says, "Okay, we're taking your guns," because Texas has the most guns in the United States, and the liberal side wants to remove guns itself. So there's that thought process as well, that by killing off a bunch of people or making them subservient to the government, then you can only, you give us your gun, sure, we'll give you some food. You know what I mean?
And NRA is moving to Texas from New York as well after they taxed them out and all that kind of shit too. There's a lot of like fringe conspiracies with it, absolutely. But also Biden saying things like, "I won't stop state federal fracking," that week one stops. Not that I'm a big fracking proponent, even though you can get the Ben Frack and Hamin shirt at ProWrestlingTees.com.
You ever fracked before, Hamin?
Have I fracked before? No, I frick. I don't frack.
Yeah,
fracking, Marvin.
I frigged just before we got on the air today.
Nice.
Well, to wrap up the conclusion of that match, afterwards, after Matt Hardy and Hangman Page go back and forth agreeing that whoever wins the match gets their first quarter earnings, we have a Quinn who jumps out of the Jacksonville Jaguar mascot, and then Matt Hardy yells out to TH2, "I'll give you $3,700 if you beat up Hangman Page right now." So they all start beating him down, and then -1 comes out with no shirt and no shoes on, directing the rest of the Dark Order. And they all come out and save for Hangman Page, and they all have kind of like a feel good, "You are my friend, I am your friend" kind of moment, and then the Dark Order leaves. So that's all that.
Let's not have little kids with no shirts on, please.
I thought the same thing, man. I'm hesitant to say anything about -1 because
I know, but that's just a rule. That's just a rule in entertainment. Let's not do that.
That
was my thought. I was like, you should have had a shirt on. Anyway, let's go. Moving on after that. Let's not continue there. We get was it the Jaguar mascot after Alex Marvez? I'm sorry, he's interviewing the Inner Circle backstage, and Ortiz says this is their first title shot, and that it's because everyone had feared them. He says that them running over, and I'm sorry, he says the running is over, and tonight is the night the Bucks paid their dues. MJF then talks some trash about Sammy Guevara, says he's nuts to think he would record Sammy with the camera on him, which I thought that was a good argument. I was like, that was a good argument you pulled out of your pocket, MJF. But he says that he needs to nut up and apologize, but then Jericho interrupts him and yells at him and tells him to shut up, says everyone knows what MJF was trying to do by pushing Sammy the last couple weeks. He says that a lot of this is MJF's fault, but the majority of it is Sammy's fault. He says that he put MJF and Sammy Guevara essentially together to try and push them to make them better. MJF has excelled at doing that, and Sammy has not. Jericho says that Sammy is dead to him, and he never wants to hear his name ever again. And then says the Pride and Powerful are going to win gold tonight and bring back championships. Hager, championships, the Inner Circle. What do you think of this, Silvio?
Here's my conspiracy theory of the day.
Oh.
I listened to Cornette reviewing last week's angle of Guevara quitting and the whole MJF camera incident. And Cornette pointed stuff out like, why would they have the camera in there while he's doing this filming? Because, of course, Jericho could watch it and see what happened. Like, it makes no sense. MJF is always praised by Cornette, and MJF respects Cornette. So pretty much his promo was almost addressing all of those things that Cornette had pointed out that was wrong with it. So I just found that interesting. But I mean, how strong was LAX's promo in this? I think they sounded passionate, like badasses. I'm really hoping we're getting the serious LAX.
I'm super hot, Sil. I'm super hot because of that.
The tweet.
That was so good. That was probably my favorite part of this.
Best Santana promo I've ever heard.
Yeah, but then Ortiz on Twitter 1 hour ago, I let arrogance take over last night, and it got the better of me. I let our team down. One thing I always do is learn from my mistakes. Time to go back to basics and earn another shot. I'll do better. That's my word. Like,
that's a babyface tweet.
That's a babyface tweet, bro. They're a heel squad. I don't understand how these guys how you can in a 3 hour time span go from a brilliant performance to whatever that is. Usually we on Raw we see babyface heat. These babyfaces getting heat on heels, which is stupid as shit. Now we're seeing heel baby facing. What? Okay. See how that works out. Hey, America, I love you. I was wrong the whole time. You know what? Building 7 didn't. We did that too. That wasn't you guys. That was us. I'm sorry. Yalla, everybody. Can I get a yalla? Yeah, you too, pal. See me at merch. Get your 8x10s. I'll let you slap me for $5. All right.
All right. Well, anything else before we move on to the women's stuff? Silvio?
Classic heel baby facing.
All right. Well, up next, we got footage of the Japanese side of the women's tournament bracket being shown with Yukara Sasaki defeated Mai Sugura. Emi Sakura defeated Veni. Ryu Mizunami beat Jim Cornette's favorite wrestler, Maki Itoa, which was, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's the viral picture that was making the rounds this last week of a indie wrestler in Japan with the feces all over her body. So she was defeated.
Send me this, please.
Okay, I'll send it to you in the chat after this. And then Jim Cornette's favorite wrestler, and then Aja Kong beat Rin Kadokura. So my only complaint about this is I don't care that they did it in front of no crowd, and I don't care that there was the black drop. There just was no production value in these. Like, why didn't they do it on a soundstage in front of a green screen, or at least put up some monitors behind them or something? It looked very bland having to watch those match recaps, and then them telling me to go watch it on YouTube. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go watch these matches. It's very low production, having to switch from Dynamite to that. I don't know, but I digress. I'm not crapping on the matches. I just meant the production value. I get it. They were in Japan, so maybe they had limited assets, or but still, it's Japan. You can't find a green screen or throw up a tarp in the background or something. I don't know. I'm being picky here.
No, you're not. You're being honest. Like,
right.
And me being honest, it looked to me as if it were perhaps shot at a wrestling school. It was clearly a small building, no fans, which is fine if that's whatever that city ruling is. Even though I know it, New Japan is still running, so I'm not.
Right now, they're not. This morning, there was a
earthquake.
7.1 earthquake in Fukushima.
Prior to that, but yeah, I agree with you. Like, you can't. That was my big question. Like, if they're going to agree to have them do it and it's AEW branded, why not get them a venue, a civic hall or whatever, a television studio? Like, why not make sure they had a venue before that product gets associated with your brand? Because you're right, Maddie, you flick Dynamite on, it's Daly's Place, which looks nice, TNT cameras. Say what you will about Dynamite. I always have a lot of high praise for them. When you put it on, it looks like a legit professional thing. To switch from that to these very talented Japanese wrestlers, wrestling in what appears to be a wrestling school doesn't fit visually. So that was a very, very interesting call. I hope they only did like the first round matches there, and they're going to switch venues for the next ones.
Well, the next ones do look like they're American matches, so I hope that they, or at least most of them are. So I think that they are hopefully going to be here in the United States. Yeah, again, not to harp more, but green screen behind me took me $15 to make. So like, I mean, guys, this is a full $1 million company. You got to do something, even if you're on locations. Put up 10 monitors. Put something up to give me some sort of visualization or something, rather than in a dreary looking gym. That I mean, to be honest, looks like I've gone to. It looks like an indie show I've gone to before the show starts, is what it looked like. And they were just practicing or going over what they were going to do for the night. That being said, moving on, we go to the great women's match here, in front of a great audience and lots of lights. Serena Deeb taking on Rio, and Rio, first time being on Dynamite in 11 months since the pandemic started. They definitely gave these women some time. Great technical wrestling match between both women. They, at one point in time, they only even slipped out of the ring for a moment. Deeb rolled to the floor, but then Rio and her got right back in. So they weren't even doing too many fancy stuff on the outside. There wasn't even too much stuff. I think Rio hit the flying crossbody. That might have been the biggest, moment of the match for Rio, where she's coming off the top. Very sound technical wrestling match. And I think you guys put it over to Stringer, put it over on the Friday locker room. Aubrey Edwards this week was zoned in on the match.
I have to put her over as hard as I went last week with the ridiculousness of it. That she was the ghost in there. I was focused on Deeb and Rio the whole time, and then she wasn't eating up to them. So I don't know if that just goes week to week, or it's the fact of Deeb's wrestling is not high impact for her to be selling all the shit, where every other thing is like, hey, and like that. Maybe that took her down a peg too, or maybe Deeb pulled her aside after I sent her a couple memes last week. But this match was match of the night. There's no one.
It was.
No one could touch Serena Deeb, bro. Not on any show. Not on Raw, SmackDown, or AEW, or Impact. There isn't one wrestler, male or female, that is putting on performances with a variety of different wrestlers, techniques, and workers, and doing very simple storytelling. People are like, oh, dude, they put Rio over Deeb. The entire story was Serena's knee. The commentators you can hear the difference when they have to call the main event and whoa, that sound versus them being on the edge of their seats watching wrestling and being into it in the very moment. That's the difference of a Serena Deeb match. And with whatever even issues there are language barrier wise, she still gets the performance out of a Japanese wrestler that she would get out of an American wrestler, and Rio, unbelievably flexible. I was like, God, dude, her no way you're going to see Hacker bending that way. I'll tell you that right now. But they told a whole story about the injured knee, and that's why she went over. There was one point where Rio had her in the dragon screw, and I think some Japanese and American linguistics got in the way. But that was the only spot I saw that was like there and was missed. There was a couple extra false finishes in there that I could live without, but that's AEW style, and that's what they want for their fan base. And it was done in the right way, not just doing falsies for falsies. It's built off the story. So they worked the anchors. They went back to the hold. They did the pins in and out. The European Serena's, that's the biggest thing I'm taking from her. My European uppercut sucks, and Serena throws an awesome one. I'd say second behind Cesaro, to be honest with you. So this match has it all. Serena's new gear looks great. If everyone can't see the difference in that match versus everything else in the spectrum, there's only one reason for it. And it's where we all came from, and it's the core, man. And I was super proud of her. And anyone worried about Rio going over, that's fine if you feel a certain way about that, and Deeb should be kept stronger. But the story they told to make that shit happen was absolutely believable, and nobody was hurt or unprotected by it,
Silvio, do you think this is going to lead to Rio versus Aja Kong? Is that the finals that they're building up to? I don't know.
Probably, for all I fucking know. Great match, man. And I could tell within seconds. I pointed it out to Jenna, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" Then a minute later, she realized. Within seconds, I could see Serena subtly registering her knee before I even noticed she had a brace on. And I knew exactly what she was doing. Was like, that's my fucking girl. Get him, Deeb. Serena told a consistent story from seconds before the bell all the way till after the bell. That is something that is, I've been to a lot of places to train people, to work. That is something that is so seldom taught anymore. And if it is taught, it is very underutilized. She told a good, simple story that made sense that you could follow the whole time to make you care about her and her opponent and the outcome of the match, which in my opinion is the beauty of pro wrestling. You make them want to see who's going to win this match. And they question whether this person or the other one's going to win. They don't know. It's not formulaic. So great technical.
Why did Rio win this match?
I don't know, man.
No, nothing on booking sheet wise, just story wise. Rio beat
Serena wasn't 100%. It was her.
You got it. That's all. And dude, these guys who want to no sell and then sell shit, but I can run up to the top rope and hit a fourth. That's where they're amateurs. You might think they're pros because they're on TV. That woman is a pro. Mm-hmm. That's how everybody should be doing it. And I can watch. I was watching everyone from Sonny Kiss to Nemeth on the side. Nemeth knows it too, though. Of like watching them get it. Of like, I'm seeing how to really do this for the first time in their lives because they don't see it. They just were conditioned that they're over on the indies by doing these bad matches. And that was going to be fine for TV. Now they're seeing for the first time, and guess who else is seeing it? Sasha Banks and Bailey, because they were marking out for it week 1 too. So I'm going to put this over because it's going to be Serena and one other person that I saw who I think is influencing the game entirely right now, and that's Tyson Dukes with his videos on YouTube. I talked about this on Impact in Depth. You can listen on that on Impact Attack, but you can go to Tyson Dukes' YouTube channel, and he's putting out all old school chain videos, moves that we don't use and forgotten, how to transition. It's a master class, and that is starting to leak its way onto TV because I saw it in TJP versus Josh Alexander. TJP didn't do any of his get his shit in stuff. It was a beautiful match. Probably the match of the week, even over this one. You should watch it still. You'll really like it on Impact. It kicks off the show. But it's Tyson Dukes and Serena Deeb style that's influencing wrestling in the best way possible right now.
Yeah, I loved it. Technique-wise was on point. The storytelling was beautiful. I don't know how I feel about the finish. I don't know if it's just my obvious bias I have towards Serena being one of my training partners and longtime friend. Or if they put Rio over because she was the first champ and they plan on doing bigger business with her. To me, with Serena being here and being a regular there and somebody that you can count on that doesn't live in Japan, I would have kept Serena strong, but either she was smart enough to tell the story to give the out or the company was smart enough to book that story. So I don't know. Maddie, what do you think? Or listeners, let me know. Am I being biased? Was the finish fine? Is Rio over? I don't know, but good job by both.
No, I mean, I agree with you to an extent. I thought Serena was going to win. I thought that the story they might tell with Rio was, she's back after 11 months. I thought maybe they'd rebuild her. She lost and now she's got to struggle her way back up to the top. But it looks like that they have a lot of investment in Rio and they're going to continue to keep her strong enough to the point where I think she's going to win the whole thing at this point. Like, who else is like, if you beat Serena, who else in the tournament is better than Serena? So Rio better win this thing now.
No, it's not that Serena isn't better. It's that Serena.
No, I know the story. I know, but from I get you're breaking it down though from a technical side. I'm breaking it down from the fan side. The fan side goes, "What the fuck? Rio better win this thing now because she beat the best wrestler in."
And we failed. And we failed you. We as performers.
Well, the industry has already failed everybody right now.
I know, but if the fans are worried about that Rio beat Serena because Serena's a better wrestler, we, as brilliant as a story as we told, the fans it's not registering with them, because what we want them to take away is Serena's an awesome wrestler. She just wasn't 100%, and that's why Rio won. And that was a story they told. But if everyone's pissed about just the fact of the pecking order of a PWI 500 list,
well, that's AEW. That's rankings. I mean, I'm just giving you the take of
I know
that side. Yeah,
a true performer needs to go, then I am failing my audience no matter how hard I'm trying. And I'm just performing for wrestlers who get it, because that's our job, is to control you, not for them to control the narrative of us.
It's also possible that the fans like Serena better. I mean, think of Becky Lynch before she became the man, you know, and they were trying to have her be a heel and all this shit. The fans wanted her. So
yeah, from my perspective, that's the personal. That for me personally, I wanted to see Serena win because I'm a big Serena fan.
When Serena comes back 100% and wins, because she is 100% though more.
Mm-hmm. I will love that.
Of course.
Let's hope they do.
I love that. Yeah, I hope they do it as well. Well,
I love it too.
Not to wrap this up conversation, if you're going to shoot like that again, you're in Japan. The culture loves weird, wacky, animated shit. You could make them look like they're wrestling in a fucking anime. I don't know. Do something crazy, man.
We should have had all that done pre-tape, just like you said, MSG. You're spot on. I don't care if they're at the Karate Kid dojo outside with the fucking koi pond, and that's got to be one. If we got to do one in a downtown Tokyo Fast and Furious kind of way, let's do one. If we got to do one in an old fucking meet me under the moon at midnight Kill Bill type of fucking way, let's do one. But to do what they did and make it look like they're wrestling out in Ganya's barn, not good, bro.
Nice Ganya reference.
Thank you. The Forbidden Door opened to a fucking blase blah segment.
A video package after this highlights Jade and Shaq training in basketball.
Yeah, this was terrible too, bro. Why would you
basketball workouts
ready for a fight playing basketball, bro? Like, I was just shocked at that. Shocked at it.
You guys, by the way, breaking news, Ben Hamin has shared with me his training regimen for his next upcoming match. He will be doing polo. So I'll have video footage of Hamin doing polo.
That'll be good.
I mean, you got game. Can you ball?
Yeah, dude, down in the paint, I got a nasty spin move. It's tough to get around me body up wise if I put it on you. Plus, we are Syracuse around here, so all we play is 2-3 zone. So I've been doing it since I was 8 years old. I know all 7 plays that are always going to be made most of the time and where I have to be. So it just became second nature. I have actually, for a big man, a decent 3-point shot too, to be honest with you, but it's rare that I'm outside the arc to fucking get a chance to do one. But yeah.
I was twice voted worst basketball player in North America.
Really?
You see, boys, basketball season and wrestling season were always the same. So where I come from, there is a bitter rivalry, and wrestlers don't play basketball. So
I'm surprised. I mean, I've seen how graceful you are. I thought you'd be an excellent point guard because low center of gravity, you're a smaller guy and super fast, bro. You seem like you'd have all the skills to be able to do it.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I was just so gung-ho with throwing people around that shooting a ball in a hoop wasn't my thing.
Yeah, but you're a natural athlete, bro. I think you can fucking excel at whatever, thing you want.
Disagree.
I agree. I played point guard basketball, but I played more special teams though, football. I was fast, small, get through the defenders. But then once you get hit really hard in high school, you get a reality check that maybe football isn't for you when you have a 250-pound man knocking you out. At that point, I was 5'8", like 160, and boom! I was like, not doing this again.
think about that in wrestling whenever you're asked about taking a big move or a bump. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, I know.
No pads.
I kept expecting them to switch from this basketball shot to like punching something or something wrestling physical. But no, just straight up.
Or like the easiest thing would have been is he's teaching her basketball, then we switch over and she's teaching him other things or something. Like if they were doing an all-encompass training session.
She doesn't know how to wrestle. She's a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, wasn't she like NCAA like top draw?
She was good.
Yeah, so I mean, badass and mad muscle. Shaq's arms look great, but I would have rather seen him holding the basketball that's doctored, punch it, and watch it explode. Combine the two at least. Combine fighting with what they're doing. You know what I mean? Or even in that, like the Cody, he turns as he catches the rebound, turns and cuts the promo to Cody, and then crushes it. Oh, that's all Shaq needs to do. We could have got over Shaq's finish there, which is nothing more than the Kona crush on the head. If he gets Cody in the Kona crush, it's fucking all over because we just watched Shaq fucking base a basketball in between his hands into nothing, right? We couldn't even get that business done with the fucking baller shit to protect him, man. Like, this is going to be possibly a worse flop than Tyson, Snoop, and who was the other one they had? Was there another celebrity they had? Tyson, Snoop?
I don't think so. I think those were the two names.
Oh, okay, so Shaq's the third then. Bro, a big miss.
I think it'll progress, and next week or the week after, they'll start showing some fighting training because they did the weights, they did basketball.
Oh, we got next week. We got next week, and then
two TVs? Or just one?
We got one TV before the payout on 3-3.
So they better show it next week.
Well, just more information.
That'd be an easy story. Sorry, that'd be an easy story to tell. The fucking Kona crush and how to escape it a bunch of times, right? That I was just thinking, how do you protect these fucking people from looking like fools? Because Shaq's as a global brand, a worldwide name, and you can't have them looking stupid, stumbling around and whatever. And you also can't expose the biz too much, I guess. You know, I don't know. If it was me, I'd have Shaq get Cody in the fucking gimmick and Cody taps. Why not? No one's gonna be like, oh, it's Shaq, bro. You know.
So Jade Cargill, she attended Sebastian River High in Vero Beach High School, helping her team to 2 basketball district championships. And then she did attend Jacksonville University. She played basketball, was named to the Atlantic Sun preseason first team in her senior year. And she has her degree in social science and a master's in child psychology. So
really, I'm surprised it's not like sports medicine and fitness because she's just an unbelievable physical specimen.
Yeah, sick athlete.
Yeah.
Well, following that package, we got our next match here. This was a quick match. We had Orange Cassidy with Chuck Taylor taking on Luther and Serpentico. I keep saying that. Serpentico and Taylor brawled into the crowd, which kind of allowed Luther to hit a distracted Orange Cassidy with a pump kick. There was a power bomb for a 2-fall, and then Orange Cassidy hit a sunset flip bomb on Luther onto the floor. Serpentico rolls into the ring, goes to do a dive. Taylor comes in, hits him with the awful waffle, and then Orange Cassidy hits the orange punch for the win. So the winner was Orange Cassidy. Quick match. I guess they teased this last week somewhere on either being the lead or something with Orange Cassidy, but I didn't really see the reason for this match, and I don't know what to take away from it. Ben, what do I take away from this match?
Get over
Cassidy and Chuck Taylor back together.
Say that again.
Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor are back together. Is that what I'm supposed to?
I mean, they're the best friends of whatever, and I think we're trying to wash that Miro Sabian gimmick wedding thing out of our minds as much as we can as quickly. Luther did a decent job tonight. I didn't see any bad, points. So he's had 2 good performances back to back, and I hope that makes him feel good. And then the Serpentico in and out stuff was a little business splitting kind of, but you had to do what you had to do, and that's fine. This is just a get over for Cassidy. It makes me go, I could be in Luther's spot because I worked Dick Justice for 3 years, and I could do tons of spots in the same way with the Orange Cassidy that I did with Dick Justice as well. In fact, I'd bring Dick Justice in there.
There you go.
Any thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know why. I agree with you too, Matt, that it seemed like a very, very odd pairing. Somebody that's booked many a times. I can't see myself writing those names across from each other. And it's Luther's second straight appearance on TV, which I don't think we've ever had Luther wrestle twice in a row on TV. So maybe it was one of those travel things and they put Luther in there. They said it very subtly, but they mentioned Orange's return to Dynamite. So evidently Cassidy hasn't wrestled for a while. So they needed somebody he could beat, which I'm assuming is why they put Luther in there. I agree with you, Hamin. It was a little business splitting, like the beginning. Serpentico did that dive and threw Chuck in the rail, and Chuck took this huge bump. And Serpentico's way smaller. That awful waffle he gave Serpentico later was ridiculous. Like he was fine and safe, but oh my God, that looked fucking crazy.
Yeah, no thanks. I don't need to do that. That's why I usually have 2 bodyguards to take those bumps for me.
I wouldn't take that one. Oof.
Well, speaking of bumps, let's talk about the next segment here. As I was holding my breath here, we had Team Taz come out and they cut a promo. They showed footage of Darby Allin being, drug around last conclusion of AEW last week. Sting comes out though with bat in hand. So basically, Taz was, telling him to get out there. So Sting comes out with his bat. Taz tells them that stepping into the ring with him is the worst thing he could do, and so Sting does, and then kind of gets in his face, and then Taz says that without that bat, Sting is done, and then reminds him of what they did to Darby. So Sting throws the bat on the ground and takes off his jacket, and him and Cage he attacks Cage. Taz's son tries to attack Sting with the bat, but Sting evades that, and then Cage does attack him, and he picks him up for a powerbomb. And as I'm sitting here, as he's holding Cage up, as he's holding Sting up for the powerbomb, I'm like, please don't kill Sting, please don't kill Sting, please don't kill Sting, please don't kill Sting. And then he hit the powerbomb, came down on the lower backside of Sting, not saying that still doesn't hurt, just, I'm glad it wasn't his neck, and Sting looked like he was okay. He took the bump there, and that was all he took. And then Team Taz, Cage, and his son left the area. What do you think of this? Silvio, were you holding your breath for Sting as well?
Of all the moves in the world that you could have done, why did we have the largest, strongest man in the company powerbomb Sting, an icon, and the oldest man in the company on the first physicality that we've seen from Sting? Of all of the moves, there's too many to name. And also, why did Sting agree to it? And if anyone's watching, a version of that move was the one that forced Sting to retire in 2015. He came in with that fire. He was throwing those good strikes. Then he gets power bombed. And that was really the first real physical activity we saw from Sting. I don't understand this one. I don't know why it happened. And I did not, and I do not want to see Sting get power bombed again.
Yeah, as he was out, I was like, oh my God, please do not kill Sting here.
Of all the moves.
Because it was Brian Cage too, of all people. You're like, oh God. But Ben looked like he was happy with it because he probably wanted Sting to die. Go ahead, Sting. Go ahead, Ben. I'm just kidding.
Why does Jesus hate Sting so much? He's supposed to be an avid follower, and he's letting him get power bombed like this by Brian Cage. I don't get it. And why is Sting stupid? Where guys surround him in the ring, and then because Taz calls him out for having a baseball bat, he throws his baseball bat away and then throws his jacket at Taz, and then gets his ass kicked. So the moral of the story is, don't throw your baseball bat away because you're gonna get power bombed. Everybody's stupid. And Brian Cage, for the first time in his life, in that since I've seen him career-wise, looks awesome because he did one move, stood fucking strong with an upshot where he's hulked up over a laid-out Sting, a legend. Didn't need no 450, didn't need no kick out, didn't need nothing. So if you want to talk about making somebody, they made Cage there, but the first physicality to bury Sting, beautiful, bro. I can't imagine. How do you walk up the Stinger and fucking pitch that to him? I couldn't.
Hey, I'm going to power bomb you. Is that okay?
So what are we going to do here? Oh, Taz is going to call you out for the bat. You throw the bat down, okay? Then you're going to throw the jacket at Taz, and then what? I'm going to go over and beat the shit out of Cage, and I'll stay. You get shit can him? No. Cage is going to cut you off, power bomb you, and you lay out. Okay. And in Sting's mind, everybody's going, these guys are fucking idiots. I'm just here to get paid. Dude, these guys are so curmudgeoned against the business at this point. They're not even going to offer up an alternative to be like, why don't we protect me and get more mileage and do this? This worked with Luger. This worked with Steiner. All these things. No, we're just going to fucking lay Sting out.
I don't know why I'm even going to say this, but we've had the opportunity. We should have gotten several weeks of Sting doing what he did last night, of those punches and the Sting chops, all that shit. He should have been kicking ass like a fucking superhero in a movie or fucking John Wayne or something. Then if they want to do the taping before he finally gets clocked with something, not a power bomb, to put a little seed of doubt, fine. But we got to see Sting kick zero ass, and then he got power bomb.
Well, he threw his coat at Taz.
Come on, boys. Come on.
Well, backstage, Eddie Kingston, as being interviewed, says that he requested the match tonight because there are 3 demons he has to deal with: Archer, Mox, and Phoenix. Calls Phoenix a waste of space, says he never wanted him in the family and he was only there because of Pentagon Jr. Basically calls out Archer, says, yes, you got the victory over me a couple weeks ago, but I'm not done with you. And then says, Moxley, you're the biggest demon I need to get rid of the most. I can't get rid of you with drinking, with pills, with women. I have to get rid of you by beating you, old friend. Any quick thoughts on it before I move to the greatest backstage segment? Okay.
Really, really good. And I like the edgy line about the booze, pills, and women.
Yeah, I can't get rid of you with those 3 things. It shows it saying that makes Moxley look strong as impervious to addiction and the charms of women. You know what I mean? So like, while he's throwing frustration, he's also getting himself over. This is the level everyone needs to be playing at. Like, this is the reality. They need to be wrestling at Serena's level and promoting at Kingston's level. If you're not challenging yourself to do either of those, you are too complacent in this business and you think you're over. Because that, if we could get everybody to that standard, imagine where we all could go from there. If that was the standard to get through the door, and it should be, but it's not. It's not even close.
Well, following that, we went to very interesting on location segment. We have Kenny Omega. He's at a school and he's reading books to them. Of course, I think Jim Ross even at one point referred to him as the WWE champion. I don't know if you picked that up.
Did he?
Yeah, there was a slip there.
It became like a big heater thing. And then Shivani was on the Young Bucks YouTube afterwards, live on a feed doing an AMA. And somebody asked me, he goes, yeah, I heard it. And I saw it. He goes, you know what? He screwed up. That's all it is. And going like, dude, people are, oh, he called him this, that, or the other, dude. And JR tweeted about it. You just keep moving forward, man. It happens. And why are you going to try and hold JR's feet to the fire on a wrestling crap botch like that?
Well, after that, Omega starts reading snippets from the Young Bucks book. One of the kids asks comedically, those 2 guys that are on the cover, are they in love with each other? Because how they're looking at each other, and Omega was like, well, you know, they are brothers, so yeah, you know, they love each other, of course. You know, they ask some other questions. Then he says, you know, he's going to read them an expert from the book. So he starts to talk about the rivalry between Omega and Jericho at the Tokyo Dome and how business went up because of him. And then he checks in with Callis, and Callis says, you know, they got to leave. You start to leave. The kids want to play with him, but he says he's too busy. But says, hey, you can play with Nakazawa instead. Kids say they hate him. We hate Nakazawa. One kicks him in the balls, and then the rest of the kids start stomping on him. So it was a daddy daycare comedy segment. What do you think, Ben?
Oh, yeah, wrong. Are you doing fidgety Phil over there? You all right? What's that noise?
Silvio.
Maybe it's my pen. I don't know.
You were doing. I don't know if you're doing fidgety legs. I heard something.
Probably, yeah. My dog I
just wanted to make sure you weren't going into a stroke or something as well. If that was the dog wasn't doing nothing, humping your leg, it sounded like maybe. You're sexy. This is a mistake. You don't work with animals and you don't work with children when you don't have to. Another mistake. And then to have a Nakazawa get beat down by them in a ha-ha way. And there's just too much weird pedophilia in the world right now, bro. You can't be doing these types of things to set yourself. We're in with a 9-year-old demographic for a little thing like that, dude. And it's just, we're doing these tongue-in-cheek things when weren't we supposed to be rebuilding the cleaner, the badass motherfucker, the dude who's going to be the shining light that's going to lead us to 1 million? The fake golf sketches and little kids book readings, you know, unless he was reading My Pet Goat, then he would have fucking popped me. But anything short of that, then no way. I think it's another mistake and another miss.
Is it? I mean, these segments he's doing, they're not really producing any heel heat, right? I mean, him playing golf, and this really didn't.
Waka, bro. It's fucking when the last week when Marvez gets going, can I get a ride? No, and they're walking away. Like when and I think K-Dog and I put this over when you got the fucking announcer getting the out joke on a scene. What heat could there possibly be?
Yeah, you bring that up, and the biggest thing I took away from this, the best part, funniest part, I thought, was right at the beginning. Oh, come on, Marvez, what are you doing here? Like that to me was the best part of the whole scene because it was like, what are you doing there, Marvez?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing with kids that you want to keep botching it. How about Nicholas and Braun? How'd that go? Like every time people see this stuff, they're like, it's always weird. So now we've got a kids elementary school scene, and we've got -1 with his shirt off. I'm feeling real uncomfortable at this point, bro.
It was a funny little sketch, and I was before you get hot, Hamin, I was really actually enjoying it until the Nakazawa part. That's the only time during the course of this angle I think I do agree with you, Hamin, because I have liked Omegas and Kala so far. Once they started beating up Nakazawa, it was too haha. I think they could have salvaged it by having him and Callis do exactly what they did. They're going to leave the room where that teacher started talking to him. If the teacher said something like, okay, we did this and we got the kids to say what you wanted. Are you going to give us our check now? Something where it was clear Omega was paying them to say nice things about him. Sure. And then Don Callis stiffs him on the bill. Yeah, it'll be in the mail. Let's go, Nakazawa. And the kids are kind of got like a weird look on their face as they're leaving. That would have had some heat to it. It would have made Kenny look like an asshole instead of kind of like an asshole and then a comedy thing. So it was a little too much in the Waka Waka land. Very creative and a funny skit, but somebody else perhaps would have been better suited for that skit.
Now, I'm not for poisoning children, but if he had like set off some sort of smoke bomb or cherry bomb, that could have at least played in, or at least gotten the kids to hate him or something. I don't know, just stupid things you do when you're a kid anyway.
You could have done, even if you wanted to do like tongue-in-cheek comedy where Sil goes with that and stiffen him on the check, and then some little kid, he goes, "Teacher, is it time for snacks?" "No, Timmy, I'm sorry, there's no money for snacks this week." Go. And then they show the little kid, like you F over the little kid and there's no snack time because they took the purse. But instead, it's more about some dark order punches from some 8-year-olds on Nakazawa.
Well, following that, we get I thought it was a decent match. I'm not really a fan of the finish because I'm not a fan of these roll-ups, but we got Proud and Powerful with the Inner Circle taking on the Young Bucks. Partway through the match, the Inner Circle got banned from ringside, so then it just became an official 2-on-2 match. However, as I told you there, Ortiz slammed Matt into the barricade at the end on the outside, power bombed him to the front row. Ortiz climbed back in the ring, but Nick caught him with an inside cradle for the pin. So the winner and still tag champs is the Young Bucks. Not that I don't care that the Young Bucks won, I just don't. And even JR said it. Oh, there's a lot. People are getting over these inside cradles tonight. I'm just like, tired of seeing the inside cradle. Give me a more unique finish. Come on, something. Anyway, everybody does it.
Because they want to do it as a rib, or they don't know how to build a story to pay off something around a finisher. And Rip talks about this, and probably not the last one, but the 3 before that episodes of the Rip Rogers FR podcast. And if you have to go over with a roll up after doing all that, you're rotten and you didn't know how to tell the story and what it took to get it there, as opposed to the false pins and the knee injury story that we saw earlier. So you got all this shit in your arsenal and you can unload it. But if you don't do it in the right way or miss it at the right time to cost the finish, then you're really not the best at this shit. Yeah, like you're a great athlete, but your mind is still maybe at a middle school level. You're not at a college level yet.
And again, I'm not a wrestler, obviously, but it still doesn't make sense to me that the babyface doesn't just go over clean. Why didn't they're the babyface team? If they're going to win, just have them go over strong and clean. I don't understand why they needed to roll up LAX. If LAX won,
They didn't go over strong. They went over clean. Though.
Sorry, strong. I apologize. Strong. That's the terminology. As I said, I'm not a wrestler. It just didn't make sense to me that they're not winning in a strong fashion, right? That they're not made to look like the strong tag teams that they are. Silvio, I mean, the match was good. Like, I'm not shitting on the match. The match was a really good match. I thought the teams worked really well together.
There's some things I didn't like, though, when LAX has got Nick in the stretch, and then Matt goes up to drop those savage elbow, and he drops. He lets go of Nick right to take the bump. Like, that's phony to me, bro. Like, you got him. You got to stay there and take that heat. Hopefully, I would say, please don't drop the savage elbow on me so I don't break your brother's neck. Just come in and cut me off and kick me in the shoulder, and I'll let go, and then you can light me up instead of having to get your shit in. But instead, we're doing this whole thing. Is Nick going to tap? Is Nick going to tap? Up he goes. Let's go. The hold, lays back to take an elbow that's breaking things up. It's things like that I can't excuse, bro. And even that clip I talked about last week with Owen versus Head Shrinkers, and they're doing it, and everybody's putting it over. Hurricane Helms, all these guys, James Storm. I retweeted to Rip, and Rip goes, fucking rotten. I go, why? He goes, watch him. He goes into the ropes. He's got him in the headlock. Owen's got a Fatu in the headlock, and he pushes him off. Owen breaks his hands on the headlock and shoots off that way instead of holding it on there so the Islander can take his head out the back. If we give up our holds, we're exposing wrestling as phony, and that was a really bad one right in there too, dude. So it's all the small things, you know, but a wrestling fan's not going to even know that shit because I didn't even see it with my fucking mind. Like, not I'm anybody to brag about, but until I showed Rip, and Rip gets hot about it and calls me, you know why I fucking said that's phony? Look at his fucking hands when he fucking backs him up in there, you know? So, and I go, I was just saying that Hurricane and those guys, but he goes, yeah, they know their shit, but I've been doing this for 40 fucking years. They've been doing it for 20. So, you know, that's the difference of where this game is at and how you look at it.
Before you jump in, I was just going to say before you jump in, Sylvia, I agree, Sonic the Hedgehog. I wish somebody would make the roll up their finisher because then nobody would use it but that person. Go ahead, Sylvia.
That's not true. Everybody else would still do it. I thought this was a very fucking good match. I really enjoyed it. LAX looked great. They were back to being vicious, and they're super athletic, and their heels that do cool shit, and that's just the way it is.
Why are they tweeting apologies afterwards?
I don't know. That's a separate story. But if we continue to build them with promos like they had, and with some of the vignettes that they used to have, like on Impact, I think we could do something great with LAX.
Their shit on Impact was phenomenal with K-Dog, dude. That training day stuff that they would do in those vignettes, the look of it was that's some of the most brilliant TV I've seen produced in wrestling, of taking a style and applying it, dude. That shit was great.
So if we get them doing vignettes like that, promos like they cut last night, and matches like they had last night and usually have, you got a big time players right there. The Bucks are fucking awesome. This is where I want to see the Young Bucks. It starts getting wacky when they get into convoluted stories. The Young Bucks really shine when they just got to go out and have a great tag team match. They can do it, and they've done it numerous times at AEW. They've had some of the best matches in AEW history, including probably the best one, the one against Hangman and Page. But then after Maddie, to your point about the Cradle, I do agree a little bit. They did so much high impact stuff and then just kind of did the roll up. Maybe it could have been a counter out of the street sweeper or something, and he victory rolled him. Something would have been a little more sensical. But where it goes back a little bit into some of the muddy.
Sylvia, I want to see somebody win with the bridge pin. Like, that would be cool. That's just roll them up bridge or something. That's just, I'm tired of seeing the Cradle.
No, but how about backslide?
Backslide.
My Cradle. There's tons and tons. The victory roll. I mean, there's 15 different ones we can go into.
I just don't see the Cradle anymore.
Where it got muddy and started returning to some of the complicated storytelling we get sometimes is the post match, when the Inner Circle comes in and they're beating down the Young Bucks, and we cut backstage and see Omega and the Good Brothers and Callis, and Omega seems concerned for the Bucks and wants to go out there, but Callis is holding him at bay, and then sends the Good Brothers, and Omega's kind of frantic a little bit. He's like, are you guys going to go? and then the Good Brothers kind of mosey out there and the heels run off. So you could tell that, Callis is scheming some shit. But, we just had Kenny doing the thing with the kids. And then a few minutes later, we're showing him be a nice, compassionate guy. Sometimes they muddy the stories a little bit too much. And as Hamin always says, sometimes just let it breathe. That was a really good match. Let it breathe.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need to see that at the end. I don't think it really.
And guys like that can win in a heel way with a pin. If you're doing wah, 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 and big move, and then they set somebody up in the corner, V trigger or whatever, right? Whatever.
I mean, the Bucks are not heels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right. So, but not them being over though. I mean, Bucks, you move on something in the corner, they take their own bump, and then you get them in a backslide right out of that. And all LAX has to do is put their feet on the ropes in a backslide, and they're over as heels. They don't need to get anything in. You let the baby faces beat the shit out of you, and then you move on one, take them out, and you go over on the fluke. Why did they win? Because he moved, he was rocked, took himself out, and then the heels cheated for have that little bit of leverage on top of that, roll out and get the fuck out of there while the Bucks are getting their shit back together again. A pin can be just as heel as you want it to be if you do things the right way. The greatest pin ever. What was Richard Cranium's finish, Sil?
Large package.
Dude, I would pop so hard if somebody does the Magisto Cradle pin now. I want to see that. I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah, why not? Fat man's roll, easy too. That's another good one.
My wrestlers do it in training every week.
Really?
I was pumped. DC on UFC call out the fat man's roll. Not a lot of people fucking know what that is in fucking wrestling. It's a good move though.
Well, we got a couple tag matches coming up here. Actually, or another tag match. I apologize following this. First question I have before we get into the match here is, was this really Matt Seidel's brother, Silvio? Can you confirm that?
Yes, that is his older brother, Mike.
Nice. Okay, cool. So the tag match itself was FTR taking on the Seidel brothers. Now, before they came out, we had Cody and Brandy announce that they're having a baby girl. I was a little... I don't know. I guess maybe because we were talking about it last week. We talked about Cody. It looked like he was injured or something in the match, and then he kind of no-sold it at all this week. So maybe he just wasn't injured. I mean, I don't know. But if he was, he came out and didn't sell anything. Didn't talk
There's
about it at all.
baby girl right there.
Yeah. Just returned from Muay Thai training.
Oh, nice.
I'm all gross.
Oh.
All over him.
I can feel it.
We're on the last part of the show.
I can feel it.
It's okay.
Huh? My fat ass just stepped on something and broke it.
Oh no. Well, she's already kicking ass already. Just came home.
She's getting ready for a mountain retreat. She's
Nice.
excited.
Somebody's got to chop the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Before we got to the match, there also was a little segment. I guess I should talk about the Inner Circle, the post-match thing. They were being beat up. The Young Bucks were being beat up by, the Inner Circle, and then Callis is in the back with Omega and the Good Brothers. And they were arguing or whether or not they were going to go help them. And then Callis does eventually send out the Good Brothers, and they get there right at the end. So that did happen. More of the dissension between the quote unquote club there. But yes, the match after that was the Seidel brothers taking on FTR. This was Mike Seidel's AEW debut. Silvio, can you confirm, was this the only time they've ever teamed together? Was this the first time they've ever teamed, or have they teamed together before in the Indies?
On a big stage, yes.
Okay.
I think they might have teamed together before somewhere on the Indies. I don't think it was a regular act. Maybe in Dragon Gate a few matches. But I worked Mike years ago, and he was pretty damn good then, earlier in his career. I really liked seeing the Seidel brothers together. It's just got to be cool. Two little kids that like wrestling, and then you fast forward 20 years and they're wrestling on TV together as a tag team. So I was really happy for them. Their gear looked good. It matched. They got natural brother chemistry. They were moving great. I like the Seidel brothers as a team.
I don't disagree, and I'm going to say this because I'm biased. I couldn't help thinking, though, I wish it had been Chris Silvio on Matt's side. No disrespect to Mike.
Been a dope team. Dope team.
It would have been a dope team. So after this, we get the match. It's a decent match itself between two teams that really know how to work. With FTR. This might have been the first time I've ever watched FTR's entrance video. I didn't realize they were born in 1987. So I was like, oh, wow, they're only 34. I'm 33. So, well, I'll be 33. So, young guys, I didn't even realize that. Matt tossed his brother into the run at one point on Dax, hit a series of kicks on Dax and Cash, nut flying knee followed by a sprinting neck breaker. FTR went to the floor, and then Matt hit a slingshot drop kick followed by a golden moonsault, which I thought was pretty cool from Mike off the top into the ring. Got a near fall. In the end, though, Matt went for the shooting star press, but Dax kind of crotched him, and then FTR hit the big rig on Mike for the pin. So Mike took the pinfall here, and the winner of this match was FTR. What do you think of Mike's debut here on Dynamite, Ben?
Oh, phenomenal, man. And I am shocked, too, that he's not more well-known, but that also makes him a more exciting property to see, as well. And yeah, they're definitely shoot brothers. You can see the chemistry there. If I was on the show, I would want to be on. I would want me to be on right before them, because I do none of the shit that they do. And my match is almost the exact opposite flow and speed of what they do. So I would want that too, because I know I can get over. I'm not saying be shitty, but we'd be the coolest part of the show in the gear shift from one to the other, So, but very impressive. Nothing really missed, or like we saw in the first segment, some dangerous stuff. It was like, oh, what could be? And I hope they sign them both. And I hope that this puts Matt on a trajectory too, because, not that Matt Seidel's not a valued name in the wrestling world, but now maybe that's going to start the next chapter. Maybe those guys back up the Bucks in a real good guys, good brothers way versus, what's left of the Bullet Club. Maybe they come in as the cavalry and help get the shine that way. There's a lot of stuff you could do here with these guys.
What'd you think of the visual of them? I thought it was pretty spot on. Just them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's undeniable. It's not like you're trying to tell people that they're brothers and they're really not. So the gear looks good. Everything is solid, dude.
You have any other thoughts on the match itself, Silvio? Any highlights you liked from it?
Nope. Good job from everyone. I like both teams, and I'm proud of the Seidel brothers. Good for them.
Big Evil Pops, he commented, FTR has aged rough if they're only in their mid-30s. The road takes a toll, bro. You spend just 2 months on the road. I've felt like a different person playing music. You become a different person, and you look different, and you act different at times. So, yeah.
Then add whiskey and taking bumps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Add whiskey and taking bumps. We kept me looking good. Anyway, afterwards, FTR goes to cut Mike Seidel's hair, but Luchasaurus apparently shows up on screen, and he's got to cut up masks, and it makes it appear like, oh, is he going to take his mask off? Are we getting Judas? No, he just came out with a new mask, and they take out FTR. So I don't know what the premise of the mask is unless they're selling these. Maybe I'm out of the loop on these. If there's a brand new mask up on AEW shop and that's why they did it, bravo, marketing, get it. Otherwise, I don't know what the significance of you changing your mask was.
He got his horn cut off, remember? Was hot about it. Shoot hot.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
right. I might have missed that episode.
If there's one thing that, I'll do a lot of evil shit, but I will not support the dinosaur ivory trade. It's been going on in the black market long enough, and if there's something I need to take a stance on, it's that.
You got so hot about the horn cutting, which I didn't get hot about, but I did get hot about after this match, them cold announcing that Tully is going to be in a 6-man against the Jurassic.
Nowhere. Yeah. Well, I mean, after kidnapping, none of those charges were levied. Torture. None of that shit.
Yeah, I thought wrestlers couldn't be kidnapped. Apparently, they can.
Well,
there's a kidnapping on NXT too.
Darby's missing, and nobody's freaking out about it. Like, where's the cops? Like,
he's dead and buried. They just dragged the body out. He's dead. He's dead now. So that's all good. Okay. And Sting's powerbomb. The babies are looking good here. A lot of hope.
So they announced that on March 3rd, Tully Blanchard will return to the ring for the first time since 2007. He will be teaming with FTR against Jurassic Express. Any thoughts on that, Ben? Are you happy to see Tully? I mean, I'm sure it's a tag, so he'll be protected. But I mean, are you excited to see Tully back in the ring? In that fashion, or would you rather maybe see him do something with Arn? They've got Arn back there too. Would you rather them done something that way?
Arn's too hurt, man, to be able to do anything really. I mean, what's Tully gonna do? Get in, light him up, do one little spot, and hopefully not break his hip. You know, like, what does FTR really need him in the ring? Do we really need to do that? It should just be the boys, and then or Marco Stunt versus Tully in a gimmick match of some type, one-on-one, where you get cut off right away, and then Tully just stretches him so he doesn't have to do a bunch of shit. But that's going to be boring too.
I mean, I'll give them credit, right? Because they at least kidnapped Marco Stunt, so there at least is something there between Tully and Marco not liking each other. There's a reason for him to be in the match, right?
Right, but you know, there's always a chance to hurt him or to be exposed. Right. They work a lot of legends, and they all need to be protected. So it all needs to be a highlight spot with Tully where you think he's about to do something brainbuster wise. They're about to, or they do get their heat, and Tully calls for the brainbuster, and he's just directing traffic as a player coach, and he just has to load his fist once and fucking crack Jungle Boy, and he's the heat, and then, you know, from there they go. But anything more than that, not that he's not capable, you're just running the risk of exposing, and we're going off of fucking cutting off a dinosaur horn. We're fucked already out of the gate, bro.
And Matt, I disagree with you. There is not a reason for them to be wrestling. You have to have a transition, and that's the thing that is sometimes missed with their storytelling. And I put AEW over for telling great stories in the past. The Cody MJF story, the Omega Hangman story. They've told some great ones. We needed a bridge between something like kidnapping Marco and Tully getting in the ring, because it's a big deal, and I do want to see that happen. It's got to be something.
Yeah, this is the Cornette storyline, right? It's you got to build in the matches for them to lose and be shocked, so Tully can go, fuck, I got to wrestle? Yeah, next week you got to wrestle, not just we're throwing them in a match, bro.
And the reason, like, let's say 3 FTR matches, Tully's going to help them cheat, and Marco sneaks out of the crowd and thwarts Tully, pissing him off. You know, like, he just keeps Bugs Bunny and Tully, and then finally all this shit has to. But we give it a reason. We missed the transition. We went right to the tackle without the tie-up and headlock.
You're missing the stakes in it, too, because that stakes of Tully having to have a match when Jungle Boy goes over on Dax because Lucha and Tully were doing something over here, and Marco gets the cross body on the other guy, setting it up for that quick turnaround where Dax is just distracted. That's where you get your roll up right there. And then fucking 1, 2, 3, boom, they're up. And then Tully, no, I got to do it. And then you could lay the babies out again, but they got to fight. You know what I mean? So they're not getting max value out of that kind of shit at all. Impact did it brilliantly. They set up a shitty 6-man with all the guys in their X division. First, they had a 4-way this week, and then they did a scene with TJP and the Magic card guy, Ace Austin, politicking for the match, right, with D'Amore. D'Amore says, well, I don't know, those guys out there just put on a hell of a match, and they might have something to say about it. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you in a 6-man tag. Whichever team wins then gets to go on to face each other in a triple threat. Whoever wins that is the number 1 contender for the X Division title. That's how you put stakes on a shitty 6-man match, build into the contenders match, build into the opportunity. Now I'm excited to see how that's going to go all the way out. And they had that same chance to do this here, but Khan operates on a second-grade level and doesn't know about real booking. So that's just the way it is.
Well, neither does Conan either, right? Because if Conan doesn't know booking, then
Khan doesn't. What are you going to do?
Did you see that tweet, Silvio? Somebody, there was a complaint on one of the recent episodes of Keeping 100. Conan had mentioned about the style of Tony Khan's booking. He just mentioned something he didn't like about something. So Tony Khan tweeted out, last year, your 2 biggest draws in Mexico were from my talent, that being the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. So if I don't know how to book, then you don't know how to book, is what he said.
There you go. Is it confirmed like, I didn't think Tony Khan is the lone booker. I know he does creative and he owns
Oh,
the
we
company.
also heard that he was doing I, me, my, and I'm the booker. Oh, he's been booking since second grade. He's got fucking notebooks full of ideas ready to go.
with
No, but
wrestling
what I
figures?
mean
He
is,
was even trying to
I'm
put
under the
himself over
impression
on
it's a
Jericho's
collaboration.
podcast. Well, he was trying to put himself over on Jericho's podcast, and Jericho was even like, yeah, okay, bro, the boy better watch, you know, like fucking doing the verbal eye roll of like, okay, you know, keep taking all the credit, because with that comes all the blame. But yeah, Jericho works on his own stuff. I'm sure Matt Hardy does, you know, but
EVPs that, you know, or I understand have a lot to do with the booking as well.
who does? I'm sorry.
The EVPs, the Bob
Yeah,
Stewart,
I've heard that, but then I've also heard that Omega had himself locked away and didn't want to deal with a lot of shit and was more concerned about video games and this type of stuff when he wasn't the cleaner again. And this was to re-inspire him to be using, like, dude, don't get, none of those guys should be booking. You're on the roster. You hand it over to real bookers. Whether that's Arn, Tully, JR, you know, what have you, Josh and Steve and me, Silvio, like Man Beast, people who've done this for decades and been successful at it, not trying to do all these jobs, and then their matches suffer. The small things that mean everything are left out, and we just don't have the full hero's journeys that we should, because everyone's wearing 2 or 3 hats.
It's a lot of hats.
All right. Well, let's wrap up this show here with the promo and the match here. We have backstage with Mox says he will whip Eddie Kingston's ass as many times as he needs to get him to realize he's the only one here that cares about him. Moxley says he is breaking Kenta's neck on February the 26th.
Where was Kenta?
The door closed for this week, I guess. I don't know.
I guess losing 104,000 viewers in a week closes the door on you.
Says that he will take all you sons of bitches down to get his title back from Kenny Omega. We get a quick shot of Dory Funk Jr. watching at ringside, which I thought was cool.
I mean, what'd you think when you saw Dory there?
I was like, Jeff Jarrett looks good.
We got a 6-man tag here as the main event here. We've got Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade taking on Moxley, Lance Archer, and Ray Phoenix, accompanied by Jake Roberts as well. I'm not going to go through everything, but the winner of this match, Mox, Phoenix, and Archer. And then after the match, we see the Good Brothers attack Moxley from behind. Kenny Omega walks in with a contract and says he's in a giving mood. Omega says that Moxley can have his match at Revolution, but he is naming the stipulation. He says that they're going to have an exploding barbed wire death match.
FM dub.
And Moxley headbutts Omega and draws blood. Good Brothers hold him as Omega hits him with a series of V-triggers, and that's how the show ends. Exploding barbed wire death match. Like, how do you do that to make it look cool if it's not MTV's Crazy Wrestling Society show?
You never saw it in FMW?
I did never watch FMW. No,
okay. It is impressive. It's dumb,
okay.
And it's impressive.
Oh, okay.
They're like these big fucking charges that are in the corners. Sometimes they put them on boards. Sometimes they have them strapped to the ring posts, and the barbed wire is either on ropes or the ropes are taken out, and they're set as the triggers. So when you do a spot and throw a guy into it and he hits the barbed wire, boof, these big fucking powder explosions go off.
So they don't explode. They're not flying off.
There's like sparks and all that kind of shit. So it looks like you're getting your tits lit. And then barbed wire is.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I was thinking, how are you going to make that? How are you going to do that in a live setting?
It's way too soon, but the FMW ones back in the day, they could work. They worked. If they do it like they used to, then it could get over pretty cool, man.
Cool. Silvio, do you have any thoughts on the match between these 6 men?
Main thought: Ray Phoenix is a madman in the absolute best of what he does.
He's so good.
Do half as much, bro. You didn't even need to do half of that.
Oh, get out of here!
We'd still be doing. No, I'm not shitting on him. I'm saying we'd still be saying you're fucking incredible. Like, save some of that shit, dude. Like 2 or 3 things is plenty from him where you're like,
he should do all the moves. Look it, he's great.
I think to Hamin's point, would you like to see him maybe tone it down more like a tiger mask? I mean, because when I look at him, he kind of reminds me of that tiger mask all over the.
Sure, dude,
I mean?
he can do all that shit, but like save a little of it, because once we see it all, now you've taken the fucking newness off of that, and he's got a whole bag full of tricks. Why get it all done like that? He could sell way more.
I'd like to see him take a few less risks. Other than that, he's spot on.
Dude, he's awesome.
The exploding match is very interesting, and this is a huge deal because, to my knowledge, this will be the first time it's ever been done in America, at least on a national level. So that's a big deal. Potential for it to be like the Hell in the Cell kind of big deal. So we'll see where they go. Is it too soon in their angle for that? I don't know.
It is.
We'll see where that goes. And I mean, this is one of the craziest dynamics of you. You're a very complex man. One of the many reasons I love you. You, like myself, grew up and you watched shit like the FMW tapes. You loved ECW as much as I did, which did the craziest shit. They just had some really good characters and good promos and sometimes some good storytelling. How you were such a fan of all that, and we have some of the debates that we have on this show.
Well, that's before I got an education. I look at it now and I could watch all that same shit in my library. I go, that's fucking rotten. I'd never do that. Whereas in 1995, I go, holy shit, he just got his tits blown off. Did you see that? And now I go, they should have teased that violence and they gave that bump up too early before he got his tits blown off. Like that's the difference now. But my memory is still going to flash back to that point of when I first saw it, because I have that in my lexicon, because I was a mega wrestling mark and a dirt sheet guy all through the inception of the internet. But it wasn't until I went and, learned not just comedy and improv, but then in 2006 to OVW to start my career. It takes 10,000 hours. I still get a shit ton wrong, or I still see a bunch, but I got to go back to my foundation of what I saw and what I lived,
I'm going to bring that young Hamin back out of you little by little.
Well, I need it, brother. I need to be forever young. Absolutely.
It's him, Hamin. By the way, Steve Richards, I could take you a Mario Kart. I saw your Mario Kart champ thing on. I could take you a Mario Kart. That being said, guys, another edition of Light the Fuse is in the books right here on hackerhamin.podbean.com. Of course, you can check out all the great shows that we have available right now. If you're watching live or you're listening to this later today, New Force Order Podcast, episode 100 is out right now. A 3-hour action-packed edition with guys like Rohit Raju, WCW's Crowbar, and Chris Feehan from the 501st Legion. He basically gets cast in a lot of the Star Wars flicks and productions because he's one of the oldest curators of the Stormtrooper gear and all that stuff. So check out that 3-hour broadcast. Tons of surprise appearances and drops from professional wrestlers, industry people from The Mandalorian. I think Hurricane did one as well. You'll hear it. A lot of cool stuff. I spent a lot of time on it. So go check out the New Force Order episode 100 out now. Of course, check out Suck My Balls episode 63. That's out right now. Trapper Keeper, available on all of your media outlets. Check out my sponsor, thebigboysclub.com, and use the code SuckMyBallsPod, and you'll save 15% off your order. Sexy and Silvio himself, what's on your agenda, sir?
Well, I am Chris Silvio, and after wrestling training tonight, I am on vacation, so don't contact me till next week when I come back here to light the fuse. Thank you guys for listening. I love you guys.
Oh, man, I love you too, bro. I hope you and Jenna have the great getaway this weekend, bro, and really, get your centered self back. I know I could use some of that, but I don't see that happening. So please do a little extra Qigong Wu for me, bro. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
You're at Ben Hamin on Twitter. You are Conspiracy Horseman.
Yeah, I'm all those things and more, I guess, as we continue production around the clock here for you guys and all the Patreon stuff. I got beautiful people stuff to work on, A Show stuff, so appreciate that. At the A Show Patreon right now, the first episode's up for free. So you can go check that out and enjoy some Damian Sandow and the lovely April Hunter, who has some unbelievably high-level commentary and thought on there. So
and Big Video Brand Patreon, Stevie Ray TV Patreon, Hamin Media Group Patreon. We're awesome, guys. Check us out.
Yeah, Everybody's going off about it, man. But yeah, I got to ship out roadcasters and every other goddamn thing this week too. So you guys know where to find us, easy enough. And glad to be here with you, Sil, and glad to be here with you, MSG, as always, man. One of my favorite discussions of the week here on Light the Fuse. Get that Baked Boys Goods gear, you guys. Get that Broster's coffee, the Zordos olive oil, and if you want to up your game, the Roadcaster Pro is the way to go. As we tear it down, build them up, and light them up here on Light the Fuse. Yalla.